named Thameslink this evening. So I've geared myself up for this fantastic interview. I was so looking forward to this interview. I was preparing from last week. This is a phenomenal person that I wanted on here to actually sit and talk. Now, I have interviewed him before, but the vibrancy of the personality and the person himself, to be quite honest, cannot be conveyed over a phone line. And I didn't want to do a second one over a phone line. I literally want this person in the studio. Because I think if they're in the studio, you're feeling that vibes. But lo and behold, just a few minutes ago, my guest called me from King's Cross to say, unfortunately, all Thameslink train to Bedford are cancelled. And I was almost going to cry for 5 seconds and saying, oh my God, why? But then I smiled through it and said, you know what, it's for a reason. I know one of the things Kwame is going to, our guest this evening, was Kwame McPherson, and I know he's headed for Jamaica very soon, so I might either have to travel on to Jamaica to get the interview or possibly do something, you know, in studio. And I see Kwame at the moment watching. He's saying, I'm here, on the live, lol. So we're trying to get Kwame back in studio. I know Ava in Ireland wanted to see his interview. I know Algran somewhere wanted to see the interview with this gentleman. Well, I'm still going to give you some background about Kwame. I mean, Kwame is a fantastic author. I think that is where I first connected with Kwame. He's a fantastic author, and I think he's one of the few people I know who can put certain accolades next to his name, like international author, award-winning author. These are things that he has actually been accredited with over his journey, and his journey is a very powerful one and a very significant one. And his recent book, My Date with Depression, I wanted to explore a little bit into that, because quite often men don't really talk about mental health and what they're going through, and he was brave enough to actually come to the forefront and actually publicize that, to say, this is my journey and this is where I am. So Kwame, I know you're listening. We're definitely going to get you in the studio, even if it's not a Wednesday afternoon. I'm going to speak with my producer, see if we can get something done before you fly off to Jamaica. So in other news, other things that made me smile, I finally got the date for my BBC debut. It is going to be on Boxing Day at midday. It's a 2-hour slot, and I will be interviewing 4 fantastic people. So that is coming to you on Boxing Day at midday on BBC Three Counties. Please do listen in and give me any feedback, positive or negative. I always appreciate both. And I'll see where it goes from there. So ending 2019 in a bang, as you might say. So I'm really looking forward to that interview. I will put on Facebook the 4 people I'm interviewing for the BBC, and I'm so grateful to those people for sharing their stories or allowing me to come into their lives and get those stories and put them out in a public media. I am always appreciative of people who take the time to actually share their stories with me. But all is not lost, because I must have told you on several occasions that I'm part of a fantastic group of ladies. I call them my accountability group. And this evening, because I know last week I disappointed by not having a show, and this evening when I heard that Kwame couldn't make it, I was almost in tears. And I rang a girlfriend next to me. She was on her Christmas shopping, doing her Christmas shopping. And grateful to say, she says, oh yes, I'll come on. So she's going to pop into the studio. Obviously, it's not going to be a full interview because we were not prepared. But she is going to give up her time to actually come into the studio, sit with me, and we're going to have a chat. Now, the reason I'm saying it's not going to be a full interview is because I like to give people a little bit of, justice to their stories. I don't like to rush people's stories. I don't like them cut them off or say, okay, time is going against us. I like to give them the full platform so they can actually share their stories, because sometimes it's actually therapy for them. I have shared Kat's story, and she has a phenomenal story. So even though she's a short guest, a short notice guest, the only thing that I worry that might be lacking are detailed questions, but I'm sure Kat has such a vibrant personality, she will actually bring it off. So Kat will be joining us in about 5 or 6 minutes. She's on her way, a little bit of traffic across Luton. and then we're going to delve in her story this evening. So that's Kat Anderson. So I know one of the things people always ask me after every single show is, what about your story? So shall I share a story? I think I started sharing one in the last session. There's so many stories, because even though I say there's a smile behind my story, often what you find is that one story interlap with another story, and so you end up with a huge range of stories if you start to share your stories. I'm trying to think of which story. All right, I'm going to share this story, and it's going to be very, very controversial, and people might log off immediately, including my producer. So I'm sure I'm going to probably get a few enemies here, but it's my personal opinion, and I know you don't have to agree with it. It's just my take on certain things, which is quite different. So recently Miss Jamaica was crowned as Miss World. And as you know, any Jamaicans that get any accolades, wherever you are, you start screaming as if you were the next door neighbor, everything. That is how we behave, and we start shouting about Jamaica, and then we get quite patriotic about our country. And of course, if you watch the Miss Jamaica, one of the things that happened is when she was crowned, when she was announced as a winner, Miss Nigeria was actually screaming. She was so excited, and she was so happy that this person had won. And everybody on Facebook has been saying, and I can see my producer waiting to see where I'm going with this. Everybody on Facebook has been saying, oh, everybody needs a Miss Nigeria in their corner. They need that type of cheerleading. They need somebody behind them who is genuinely happy for them. And somebody sent it to me and said, Vinette, you really need a Miss Nigeria in your corner. And I said, no, thank you. And the person, what do you mean by no, thank you? And this is my response to her. I agree that Miss Nigeria was very excited for her, and it's nice for that type of exuberance. But for me, I think she stole Miss Jamaica's thunder. I think it was too much at that time. Had she waited until she was crowned, or waited a few more seconds just to give her that moment, her moment was actually taken away from her. Because when I saw the pictures on Facebook, before I even knew, because I'm not a person who watched Miss World on a regular basis, when I saw the picture coming through to me, I assumed the lady in the green dress, which was Miss Nigeria, had actually won. Just by the picture when it came through to me, I'm like, oh my God, Miss Jamaica's won. And I was actually telling people it's the girl in the green dress, only to find out it was not the girl in the green dress. So she, for me, stole the thunder of Miss Jamaica. I mean, if I have a friend and I won something, yes, I want you to celebrate what I've won, but I still need my moment to actually thank people or say, yes, I won. So I thought that was a little bit too much at that point, to be quite honest. So for me, yes, Miss Nigeria is lovely, and I'm sure she's genuinely happy for Miss Jamaica, but she could have given her the few 10, 15 seconds to actually own her moment and own her crown and glory instead of being overshadowed by Miss Nigeria. Because everybody is saying, oh, congratulations, Tony-Ann. But Miss Nigeria, though, I mean, had she not done that, nobody would have remembered Miss Nigeria because she was placed 4th or 5th. So not taking anything away from her, but I would have preferred, to be quite honest, if she had waited a few seconds, allow Miss Jamaica to take her crown, then scream excited to show her joy. It's her moment, and I thought that was lost. I don't know if my producer agree with me, but he's nodding over there to say, oh, maybe. Give her a moment to accept that bit. So we're waiting for Kat to join us in studio, so please stay tuned with us on Facebook Live. If you're just joining us, we have a mix-up with our guest this evening because the trains from London has been cancelled. And he was coming up all the way from London. And I was so grateful that he was making the effort to come and actually be on our show this evening. So I'm probably going to give, because I did quite a lot of research on the person I was going to interview this evening. And I'm just going to give you the type of things. He's a prolific writer, award-winning writer. He has over 7 or 8 books in publication at the moment. He has won numerous awards, not only in the UK, but also in Canada. He's one of the first person working with the Jamaica Library Service and the university in terms of publishing books and looking at writing. So he's a phenomenal person that I really want to meet. because I've not yet met him. I've not yet sat in the same room with him, and so I really wanted to meet him to actually go through that interview. But I'm going to save all I have here, Kwame, for our next interview. One of the things I learned about Kwame, just doing a background research, is that his favorite book is Spirit of a Man, which means that the focus of the book is actually believe in yourself. And his favorite quote, which I like, is winners always win. So those are some of the things I wanted to look on this evening. And you might have heard a knock on the door and see the big smile on my face. Because my guest, my short notice guest, and my sister has just arrived to save me.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm so grateful. So if you come and have a seat next to me, Kat. So my guest this evening is the phenomenal Kat Anderson.
Hello. How are you? I look so messy.
Trina, can I ask you to just turn it a little bit so my sister is like...
Get the right angle. You might be there for a while.
Thank you very much. Right, so this is my guest this evening. Kat.
Hello, nice to be here. How are you?
Thank you, my baby
I would
girl.
have been here 3 minutes earlier, but you know I had to park.
And that takes a while.
It takes a little while, but
you're here.
Yeah, quite impressive today.
Oh gosh.
I don't think I blocked anyone in, or
Well, we'll see
if there's any more knocks on the door.
Exactly. So we have the beautiful, the
Aww.
charming, the
It's
effervescent
grassy today.
Kat.
Thank you.
Who's decided to join me in short notice.
Yeah.
Now we're going to commercial break in about three minutes. So just in time for Kat to introduce herself.
Okie dokie.
And then after the break, we delve a little bit into your story.
Ah!
Give you a minute to catch your breath. So, Kat Anderson is an award-winning speaker,
Oh.
fantastic humorist, poet,
Yes.
a blogger, and in recruitment.
Oh yeah, I work in a recruitment role. So anyone that wants a job as a teacher.
No, this is not for the advertising. We're not allowing any advertisement about payment. So, Kat, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the listeners who you are.
So that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. So I love to make people laugh. I love to write poetry. Although I've been hibernating. So over Christmas, I'm going to get my pen and paper, and hopefully my skills would not have deserted me.
I doubt
and,
it.
I'm going to get some work out. I've got good plans for next year. Good
Looking forward to hearing about some of them.
Good plans for next year in terms of writing and creativity. And I might want to try and explore my humour a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So, just be a bit polished and skilled at presenting humorous stories. I had Vanette helped me incredibly. we both go to Toastmasters, and Vanette is the award-winning speaker of this region and of the whole of the United, not the whole, two-thirds of the United Kingdom and Ireland, and she helped me with my my humour speech contest, and without her help I would have faltered, but I went to the third round and I came third place.
Yeah, it was good.
For the second time running. I'm the reigning third place champion.
Next year's your year.
I don't know, we might discuss it. I'm thinking of stepping back, really pushing more into my art form,
right,
and then maybe coming back. Shock them.
I think
Shock
so.
them in 2 years.
Sometimes you need to take a step back.
Take a step back, because this was my best speech to date with your help. And it's fine to come third, it's fine, but I was a little disappointed I didn't get to the win, but I want to maybe take a bit more time, really get it right.
But with competition, one of the things is, one, you don't want to back away too far, because things change by the time you get back in. There are new people,
and there are new people,
new blood, new energy.
There's still my territory, so
exactly.
I'll
still need to be
I'll leave
there.
a bad odour around.
You still need to be there. And one of the things is with competition speeches, what you find, we are off radio, but we're still live on Facebook. One of the things you find with competitions is that it depends on the day. Yeah. So it depends on who is judging. Yeah. It depends on the audience. Yeah. So many other factors.
Do you know what I love about the competition? People come and celebrate you, they say well done, and they say, what were the judges thinking? So you get a chance to say, I don't know if they heard what you heard, I don't know, I don't know, the result is what
sometimes it's a little bit dodgy, and sometimes you look
I don't want to say that, but the guy who won this year, I thought he was really funny. I actually beat him in the second round. I know. And then he beat me in the third round. And this other gentleman came second. So, they were, and do you know, I always find it interesting because it's a speech, it's not stand-up. So it's quite interesting to see the topics that people come up with. And I don't know, I'm a bit extra, I'm very large and, gregarious on stage and theatrical, I'm very theatrical. So I'm questioning, I know you say don't ever change, but I'm questioning.
Be you. Always be you. Because sometimes you might not get the trophy. Yeah. Because we were just talking about something else again.
I missed it, yeah.
Sometimes you don't get the trophy, but you get the crowd.
Yeah.
And so people appreciate your humor. So you never can tell. So you win in different ways.
I mean, it's difficult because sometimes you try to write a speech that you think is going to win, but it might not be true to maybe your style. It's a tricky one, I think.
I think the year when I came second, I think the advice I got from someone is, I think I focused too much on the trophy. Yeah. And the person said to me, do not focus on the trophy. Focus on the message you're sending out. Yeah. So that someone in the audience is actually touched and inspired. Yeah. So even if you leave in third or fourth place, you know you've impacted somebody's life. Because sometimes it's more valuable than going away. Definitely. So never focus on the trophy. And later
on, you might get a bigger prize.
Exactly. Tell me when we're back on radio, Trina. Right, so sometimes it depends on what you're doing it for. At the end of the day, trophy is always nice. But
I've got a mantelpiece missing a trophy. So there you go.
Need to put that back.
Need to put the trophy there.
Every year I say I'm not entering again, and then when you start giving back the perpetual trophies, and you see your mantelpiece getting, you're like, I need back that trophy.
The mantelpiece.
Back for it.
Radio.
Okay, welcome back to LUR Live. If you're just joining us on Facebook Live, we have been talking to Kat Anderson and just trying to catch up. So, Kat, this is a Behind My Smile talk show, and you have a fantastic smile. And would you believe one of the things I've noticed is that the bigger the smile, the more stories are buried behind the smile.
Oh my goodness, well, today is the day I reveal it all. I'm a bit scared because usually I prepare and I just say, make sure you don't talk about this.
Well, that's it. Yeah. If you want to stop at any point, stop. But then the bad thing is when you stop, people like, something is hidden.
Yeah, something's hidden.
I try to keep the questions very, very simple.
Yes, and I have been here before.
And you have been here
but
before.
I haven't signed the
so you do all of that today.
Yeah, I do all of that today.
So, Kat, for the people who are just tuning in and from your own words, I've given you a little bit of introduction.
Yes.
But how would you describe yourself?
I would say vibrant. Someone called me vibrant the other day. I like that word. And I would just say fun, loving, and inducing.
I like that. Inducing.
Fun-inducing.
Fun-inducing?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought inducing was standing alone.
No.
So fun-inducing. Okay.
I don't know if that would make sense.
That's what fun-inducing.
We'll have to get people to log on to the dictionary.com to check it's a positive
So where were you born?
I was born in London, in London, and I lived in London pretty much my childhood through to early adulthood, early to late adulthood. Okay. Not late adulthood, late 20s.
Right. What's your background? Are you English or are your parents from the UK?
I was born in Great Britain. My parents were born in Jamaica, both of them. My mum is from St Thomas, and my dad is born in Kingston. But Dad and his family moved to Central America. So when I consider my dad, I consider him more of a Latin man rather than a Caribbean man, and he actually prefers Costa Rica and Central America to Jamaica.
Did they meet in Jamaica?
They met in the UK. And I never knew how my parents met until I was way old. It was like, what is the secret? We have seen you are together now. what is the secret? So I was just making up stories, or they met here, they met there, you know, because you always want your parents to have met in a quite a romantic
scene,
way, and it was all, you know, planned and thought about, and no, I'm not saying it wasn't planned. I'm not, you know, I'm gonna get a phone call later, but you know, I'm not saying it wasn't planned. But I think they met through my mum's friend, which is nice.
Right.
So my dad was round my mum's friend's house, and then my mum came over. And then, and Dad didn't have the car at the time, but Mum did. 'Cause, you know, she had her things together.
Right.
So Mum had her car at the time in the 70s, and so she gave my dad a lift home. And then I think, you know, they must have had a time.
Yeah, that's their story.
No, I'm not saying nothing happened on that day. Oh, no. But they talked about, you know, meeting again.
Right. Okay.
And there we go.
So that's where it started.
Yeah, that's where it started. So it was through a mutual friend.
So what did your mom do at that time?
My mum's a nurse.
Okay.
So she came from Jamaica and she trained as a nurse, and she has worked in NHS for over 50 years. She's retired now. She retired this year. And so she's made a fantastic contribution
to the UK.
So she worked as a nurse.
And what about Dad?
And Dad, he did a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but mostly working in financial sector, but mainly bookkeeping, helping people with their accounts.
How would you describe your dad?
He's amazing. He's very enigmatic. Can I say that he's very charismatic?
Right.
People love him. You know, my friend actually she asked me if she can send a delivery to my house, but where I live, my post box is outdoors, so I started sending it to my mum and dad's house, and it was a huge delivery. It was a huge package. So we're there in my mum and dad's house, and she felt bad that it was there. I said, "Oh, don't worry about it, you know, pick it up whenever." And she didn't know how to take. She didn't realise it was so big. So she's thinking about getting a van to take this package. And then she said, "Surely I could just wheel it in one of those trolley things."
Right.
I said, "Listen, if you dare go to my mum and dad's house with your trolley, prepare for the lecture." Because my dad is a good father to me, but he's a father to everyone.
You know what?
I said he's going to talk to you about weight, velocity, effort, time. And you need to spare 45 minutes for him to talk to you, about the laws of science.
I'm going to agree with that. And this is coming from a trip I made in France. So earlier in the year, I was deciding to drive around France. And then I rang your dad to ask for advice. And it was the same type of thing. Oh, you can't do this, you do this, you can't do that. So a lovely, very helpful gentleman. But he will tell you everything that you need to know.
One of the things I do love about my dad is he is a dad to everyone. Like, I have a friend, a very dear friend. She's from Ecuador, and she's been in this country maybe up to about 15 years now. And she considers my dad. She said to me one time, "My best friend is your dad." I said, "Excuse me, I am the best friend. And he is the second best friend." But no, she really highly regards my dad. She will call him just for advice on, you know, what bank account to open, or, you know, just advice. And just to talk to an elder gentleman who treats her in a fatherly way. So he does that. Sometimes it's embarrassing. I remember when we were younger, but my sister had a friend and we went out to this dinner and dance for Christmas. Young black boy, and he had I don't know how he was dressed, but he didn't have a tie. And my dad said to him, "Where's your tie?" You know, and we were really embarrassed. "Dad, my gosh, man, you can't just tell everyone where's their tie." But apparently this young man, he really valued that. And he thought to himself, "Yeah, actually, I need to know where I'm going.
Right.
And if it's an event where I need a tie, I need to be prepared." And then anyway, he became a designer. And I think he was designing suits and ties. I don't know if that was down to my dad, but you know, maybe it was
sort of
like a little bit of an influence. So my dad is great.
What about your mom?
My mum is beautiful. She's like got a beautiful spirit. She's very gentle, sweet, caring. She's funny in her own right. I think sometimes I have a friend who always said, "You know what, your mum is really funny," and it kind of, because she's not as loud and at the forefront like the rest of us. It's sort of like subtle,
right?
You know.
Who do you think you get your personality from?
I think maybe a mixture of both. Actually, my friend who went to pick up her delivery, she said, "You look like your mum, and you've got the same vibe. That whole sort of gentleness, lovingness, kindness." So I get that from my mum, but probably from my dad. You know, maybe my dad's got a cheeky sense of humour. He's a bit more cheeky. So maybe I get that from him.
Dad as well.
Yeah.
Right, so you mentioned we growing up with that, so I assume that they are brothers and
We got
sisters.
siblings. We've got my brother Gordon, who's a year older than me, and we've got my sister Natalia, who is 2 years younger than me.
So you are the middle child.
I'm the middle
You know,
child.
they say the middle child is a rebel.
And I don't think so. I think the middle child. Well, I used to say, when I was in my late teens and my early 20s, I would be like, woe is me kind of character.
Right.
And I would blame it on being the middle child. And I would say, I've got middle child syndrome. I don't even know what I was talking about. I thought, it's because I'm a middle child, But I feel like my brother and my sister got along really well.
Right.
So I got along very well with my sister growing up. And I get along with my brother very well now. But I think growing up, we didn't really interact or have much to do with each other. So I felt being a middle child was actually quite a lonely position. And also I was a goody good shoes, goody two shoes.
Well, they might disagree.
So, well, I was goody two
Right.
shoes, always went to school, always did right, never smoked, never did anything wrong. Well, is it wrong? But, never did anything I did what I was supposed to do. And so they my brother and sister, could talk and have secrets together. And I would
you
just,
were left off.
polishing my halo.
So you were... So you grew up in London.
Yeah.
So what was school like? Talk us through
I loved school.
Right.
I loved school.
Favorite
So
subject?
I loved English and I loved history at my secondary school. Yeah, I really loved history and I loved English. But I loved just spending time with my friends. I went to a girls' school.
All girls.
All girls'
Right.
school from year 7 to year 11. And I just had fantastic friendships. I just found it very safe. I enjoyed learning. I don't think I was, one of those eager beavers, but I was almost there. I really enjoyed. I loved my teachers. Loved
Right.
being there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to school in London.
Yeah, in Enfield
And
my
then
school.
at the end of your high school, you went into
College.
college. So you went straight through the educational route.
I went to college. What I mean is sixth form college.
Right.
So I changed, and that was a mixed environment. And then
How was that transition? Because quite often I've seen students who come from a single-sex school,
Yeah.
and when they get thrust into the co-ed,
Yeah.
they struggle for a while in terms
Yeah,
of
I don't know if I
themselves.
struggled. I think I was always timid around boys, particularly at that age. So I would have been 16, 17, 18. So I was quite timid around boys, and if they spoke to me, I'd probably look at the floor or something. I didn't know how to interact with them, and maybe I felt a little bit intimidated around boys. But I had a few guy friends but they were like studious guy friends,
Right.
But
So it was more interaction because you were studying together. or
yeah,
something like that, right?
But I didn't really go to parties and things like that at that age.
So you're not a part-timer.
No, I was a
very good girl.
bookworm.
A very good
A
girl.
bookworm.
And after college, what did you do?
Then I went to university.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
just went
the big-
straight through
Yeah, I
uni,
went straight
right?
through. My dad didn't really believe in having gaps. So I didn't do very well in my A-levels. I underperformed. But Dad said, just go to university. So I went to Roehampton University, which is southwest London, and I studied French and
Okay.
education studies.
So you were fluent in French.
Oh, mais oui. Je parle français comme n'importe quoi.
So
Yeah.
what career path were you thinking of following, studying French and English?
I don't think I was thinking about the future.
Right.
I think I was in the whole kind of system, the sphere of education. I just I wasn't anticipating that was ever going to end. So when you finally come out of education, I was 22 turning 23, so I wasn't really preparing for the future, but I did education studies, so there was some sort of expectation that I would become a teacher.
Okay, so you transitioned into teaching.
Yeah, I had a little bit of I had a year where I just worked, and then I trained as a teacher.
Okay, so you became what subject?
A French teacher.
A French
Oh,
teacher.
MFL, because I did teach Spanish, although my Spanish wasn't as strong
Right.
as my French. But you have to offer another language. So I was look in the book, and they say, how do you say, like guinea pig? And you say, oh, that's a good word. Should we all look it up?
I think the students have caught on when teachers do that.
Well, they know that. I mean, you have a specialist subject, and then you have your secondary
secondary
so-
subject to teach.
Yeah.
So how did you enjoy teaching?
I did to begin with, but I felt that I don't know how effective I was as a teacher. I don't remember my results, I think I was good in the sense that I was young. I was a black woman in a school where we were quite diverse, you know, so in terms of role model, you know, people looking to me and saying, oh, you know, she's like us, that kind of thing. I think I did well. I was funny, I made my kids laugh, I had students who really loved me, but whether or not I could nail them down and get them their A stars, I don't think I got anyone an A star.
So I mean, more a relationship. You're more focused on the relationship than the outcome.
I mean, I did try, but you know, when I'll be honest with you, when I didn't always set the homework, I didn't always collect in the. I didn't. I mean. So people are saying to me, "Go back into teaching," but I think teachers work very, very hard, and my heart wasn't in this homework business. My heart wasn't into marking.
Right.
You know, I just wanted to go and teach as best as I could. And if I did go back into teaching, I was thinking about it. I don't know if my heart is into... Oh no, I can't say it.
Why not?
No, because you know, we all talk about you have to help every child. Yeah, you have to help every child. And that's the answer we all like to hear.
Right.
But I don't think every child is necessarily worth my hard work, sweat and tears. Because what they're bringing to the table is tatters. You know, and I'm meant to give them everything. I mean, I don't know if that's controversial or not, but they coming in, no book, no this, bad attitude. They used to jump from table to table in my classroom, and I'm chasing around. Where there's good boy there, good girl there, I have to ignore the good boy, good girl, chasing them around. You know, it's a puppy show.
I tell you what, I think one of the things working in schools after a while, especially when you get to those situations, where you're in those schools and in those settings, I think what I've discovered more than anything else, I went to a school and it was a similar experience. Yeah. And I was absolutely horrified.
Yeah.
But I think taking time sometimes to look at a child and see their background and where they're coming from, then you get much more understanding of why they respond in a certain way or why they do things. Yeah. So I had this child that was absolutely horrid to me. Yeah. And to be quite honest, I'm a human being. Yeah. I couldn't stand that child. No. When I see the timetable and I look and I'm like, oh my God, I have a class. I dread going there. Yeah. And I spoke to someone about like, can I have this child moved? I don't want them in my class. And the guy, I think, gave me one of the solid advice I've had in teaching. He said, everybody in this child's life leave at some point. And he's expecting you to leave. Yeah. So it's like a catch-22 situation. Yeah. So because you're not there for him to establish any bonds or connection with, he doesn't want to foster anything else. Yeah. He's going to be horrible because he knows you're leaving anyway. But if you stay and hold on and you realize that you're going to be there for a while, then it will change. Yeah. And it did. Yeah. Because I went off on sick leave for 2 weeks. Yeah, and he was waiting for you. And then when I came back, he was like, Miss, you came back. Yeah, yeah. Do you know, when I was a teacher, I had some naughty behaved children, but quite pleasant. So I had this naughty behaved class, and one guy, he would always say, oh, you don't care about us, you don't care about us. And I'm like, I do, that's why I'm here, I care about all of you, you know. But it is true, you don't know their backstories. And I think you're very excellent as a teacher, because that warm kindness is what kids sometimes need.
Do you know, it was so funny. I taught in secondary, and the students would say, you need to teach children, you need to teach in primary school, because I would come in and I'd say, bonjour la classe, aujourd'hui on va faire, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire aujourd'hui? Okay, on va chanter, la 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 la, and they were like, we're not doing this. They were like 15 and 16. They're like, no miss, you need to go to the primary school next door. I said, no, I've come here to teach you guys.
So have you always had this personality? Because you spoke about being shy at school. So have you always been this vibrant and effervescent?
No, I don't think so.
So how did this come about?
I feel like, you know when people say fake it till you make it? Right. I feel like when I was a small child, I'm actually a snob. I wouldn't play with it. Not everyone could play with me, you know. Ooh. I was a snob, you know. Some little mama would say, this little boy tried to push me on the swing. I said, excuse me? Whoa. Little dirty boy. Wow. Snobbish, you know. But then people don't run towards snobs, do they?
No, they don't.
So if you're going to be snobbish, say, I'm not playing with you. I'm talking about really small, you know, 3 and 4. You know, I thought I was princess and all sorts. So I just learned that actually the way you treat people is going to affect how they respond to you. Definitely. And actually, I love company. I love people to be around me. We can play, we can talk. I just love people around me. So I have to treat them better. And then I think I just kind of fell into, well, if I'm a bit of the clown and the joker, then people are going to run towards me even more. So I don't think I was intentionally... No, I don't think I was naturally funny per se, although I did like stories, I do like humour, I do like jokes. But then I went down that line, and then actually I started to make myself laugh. I see how everyone else responds, and so it kind of, I think maybe my alter ego, and then I became it, and then I became it.
So do you think that's a real you though, or do you think that you have played this role so many times? Is it the same when you go home and there's no company?
Well, do you know, I live alone, so I think I don't struggle living alone. I actually like being by myself sometimes. But if I lived alone in my early 20s, I would have crumbled because I wasn't used to being alone. I wasn't used to, walking home, no one there, and spending long periods of time by myself. So I would have crumbled. But now I kind of got older and I'm used to it, and I know how to be
so
alone.
So the cat we see is a cat 24 hours a day?
No, when I'm at home, I'm not. I mean, sometimes I try and tell jokes to myself, and I do make myself laugh.
Right.
And I remember I said to someone, I woke up laughing, and they were like, that's a bit weird. And I said, I'm trying to work on this material and stuff. So I do enjoy my own company. I do enjoy my demeanour and my personality, and I do enjoy my own humour. So I do kind of amuse myself, but I'm not kind of large and skipping around and doing things. Obviously not. I'm more subdued at home.
Right. So you spoke about teaching, and you said how long did you stay
I did
teaching?
it for 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Same school.
I did. Well, when I first trained as a teacher, they advise you to start looking for a job around January time.
Right.
And I didn't, because it just felt like such an adult world. I was 23 going on 24, I think, or 24, thereabout. And they talk about children and assessment. I'm like, boring. So I didn't look for a job. And then a friend of mine said, why don't we just move to France?
Okay.
So we were planning a move to France. But when I say planning, I did no saving money. I did no job searching. It was just like, at the end we'll just move to France. I had nothing really to actually move to another country with. And then I had appendicitis. I had emergency appendicitis. And then when I sort of came out of hospital, my friend was like, oh, actually I've got a job. And then at that age, I didn't realise that I could have done it by myself. If I really wanted to, I could have got serious, saved some money and gone to France by myself. I didn't even think that was an option. So then I became a supply teacher. So September to December, I just did like daily supply and maybe a week or two here and there. So I became a supply teacher, and then I got a role in January in Highbury in London, and I worked there to June, and then I got a permanent job in Enfield, and I stayed there for 3 years.
Okay. So what was the deciding factor that made you leave teaching finally?
I had a breakdown. Essentially, I had a mental health breakdown. So I have to actually talk to you about this, because I know that you gave a speech when you've read, was it Shonda Rhimes' book, where you say yes to everything? Yeah, right. So I had a friend, and she told me, say yes to everything, and I said yes to everything to the detriment of my own self-care.
Right.
So I was going here, there and everywhere. I wasn't sleeping properly, I wasn't eating, I wasn't looking after myself. I just made friends everywhere I went. So someone called me up, say, hey, we're doing this. Don't even tell me what it is, just tell me where, and I'm there. So I said yes to everything, and I think I was just spent. I was just tired. So that was one factor. Then I was teaching these kids who at times were unruly. So it was just that emotion and just trying to be on top of the expectations of parents, schools, yourself, the kids. So that was another pressure. Then I had a bereavement. I did a Spanish A-level course while I was teaching Spanish, Key Stage 3, beginner Spanish. Right. But I was doing Spanish in the evening, and my tutor got murdered. Ooh. Yeah, he got murdered, and that just knocked me out. That death really hurt so bad, and I couldn't get over it. But then I felt guilty, because I was like, I just met this man 3 months ago. He's my tutor. He's not really a family or friend. So then I just said, you don't have the right. It's very terrible. So I didn't grieve. I didn't take time. I just threw myself into work, still saying yes to everything. Had to make my Spanish teacher proud of me. So I was just working too hard. Then my head teacher observed my lesson. As teachers, you're always observed. So my head teacher observed my lesson, and she failed my lesson. It wasn't even that bad, but she said I didn't stretch the children, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel. But everything after that, I cried. That woman was shocked because she
was
gave
it immediate as soon as
yeah,
she gave
I
you the feedback?
cried. And then I walked back to the classroom. I was crying in the class. Everyone was like, no, take time. I cried for days. I cried day and night. Soon after that with the school holidays. And then after that in September, I never came back. Well, I did come back. I had a whole term off, like a term and a bit. I had September to February off because I was just so broken. I cried. And then in the summer...
What were you talking to anybody at this point?
No,
about what was happening?
no, not at all. And then in the summer, I went to a hen party in Ireland. Oh yeah, and then I had vocal nodules. So the speech therapist was saying I couldn't speak to my friends on the phone.
Right, so Tom was just trying to establish a timeline.
Yeah.
So that vocal nodules,
yes,
you had that issue prior to the observation or...
But yeah, I had it prior to the observation.
Okay,
so
it
was an issue that I always had. So I'd be in my classroom most often than not shouting at the little cherubs, saying check out, and then so my voice would break, and there was periods when I couldn't speak.
Okay.
So I did see a speech therapist, and she said, "You've got to stop shouting." I said, "You know what? These kids, they just..." I'll say, "I'm not going to shout at them," but as soon as you see them, you're just shouting. Because I wasn't as a controlled. I was only young though. I was only 24, 25. So I wasn't controlled as a teacher, and I just had to shout at them, just stop fighting and sit down and throw your chewing gum away and take your coat off and open your book. And, so I was really damaging my voice. So the recommendations I was given was to stop talking to my friends, and my friends meant everything to me. So I would talk to them every evening, every day, and only talk when I need to teach. Okay. But what kind of existence is that? I'm not only talking when
But that wouldn't be a permanent...
No, I don't know. They never said permanent. They just said this is what you have to do. As if teaching was my, the golden orb in my life, and it wasn't. My golden orb in my life was my relationships with people. And I could have gladly just walked away from teaching to, if I had to choose between teaching or talking. So I felt like I had an identity crisis because I thought, if I don't talk, then who am I? And it really crushed me. If I can't tell a story, tell a joke, make someone laugh, just engage with the cashier in the supermarket, then who am I? And I was like, I'm nobody, I'm nothing. So I fell into a little bit of a crisis there. And
so you had these emotions going into your lesson observations as well.
Yeah, probably. I thought it was a piece of cake. I was like, yeah, it was a small group, like 10 kids. Right. And she said I didn't stretch them and it was too easy. But we were having a laugh. But maybe you have to be on top of them, But I don't know. It's just, I'm not a performing monkey. You know what I mean? But yeah. So she failed me, and I think I was shocked. Because it wasn't a class where I was screaming and shouting. I felt in control. But she said I didn't stretch them.
What was her reaction when you started crying?
She was just shocked. She was like, okay, it's fine. We can support you. But it was just all the pressure of the past year, the bereavement, the pressure that I was under, the floodgates opened.
So looking back on that experience... Do you see that possibly it was everything together, not particularly just that one incident?
Yeah, it was everything. It was. I think that bereavement. I didn't handle that well. I probably should have taken time off to grieve and allow myself to grieve without the recriminations. You're not. How can you grieve? How can you be so affected? But you know what? I get affected because I make connections really quickly. So, even if someone died a week after I met them, I'd probably be affected because I really, when I like people, I like people. Yeah.
I can attest to that. Right, so in the studio this evening we have the beautiful, energetic, dynamic. I'll think of a few more descriptions.
Yeah, I like it.
Kat Anderson, and she's sharing her story with us this evening. So far we have looked at Kat, who is a past teacher, but she left the profession because she had a breakdown. So we are going to explore Kat's breakdown a little more after the break, and relationships, just to give her the heads up in terms of which direction we're going.
Sweating, you can see Facebook Live, you can see that sweat.
So we are going to go down that route to see exactly what is happening in Kat's life, and we are going to commercial break. So we are on commercial break for LUR Live, and we will be back in a few seconds.
Listen Urban Radio.
So, right, so Facebook, I was actually just sharing something with Kat and she came in late. So I'm not sure if you can send some comment through to me. So we were discussing the Miss Jamaica. Miss Jamaica is from your mom's parish as well, St. Thomas.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if you saw the crowning on
No,
television.
I didn't.
Right, so one of the things is you might hear it, Nigeria's reaction, Miss Nigeria.
What did she say?
Well, essentially what happened, 3 people were left on stage waiting. So they had announced third and second, and 3 people were started waiting on stage. I think it's Miss Brazil, Miss Nigeria, Miss Jamaica.
Yeah.
So of course at that moment, you have been in competitions. So at that moment you're like, please call my name, please call my name, that type of thing. So they're there and they announced the winner. And the winner is like this. Shock.
Yeah.
Because obviously you hear your name and you're thinking, really, is it me? Miss Nigeria was all over the place. She was screaming.
What?
She came next to Miss Jamaica and she's like, I don't have you. And she was in and she was,
whoa.
And everybody kept saying on Facebook, oh my God,
I need
you
to see
need Miss Nigeria in your corner. You need a person who is that happy for you when you win.
Oh, she was happy.
She was happy
Oh,
for
I
her.
thought she was vexed up. I thought she was vexed up. Right.
Funny.
Yeah. Yeah, she was happy.
She was screaming.
Oh, she was happy.
But I now, being the Grinch I am, saying, actually, I don't really like the reaction.
Yeah.
Because it kind of stole the winner's thunder.
Oh, okay.
Because she's very reserved. She's not a very extroverted person. She's very reserved.
Yeah.
And she was like getting used to the moment, but she didn't get her moment.
Yeah.
She didn't get those few seconds when you hear you are the winner. You know Kat, you are the winner.
Yeah.
And you take a breath
But
and you
what would she
realize.
have done? She would have just gone, oh, thank you.
Well, it's her moment. Even if she fluffed it up, even if she bluffed, do anything bad, it's her moment. It's her crowning moment. Give her the 10 seconds to get her crown. I mean, even before the crown came on.
was all bigging her up. Hype. She's a hype woman.
And then when I heard, because somebody actually sent me the picture, and they sent me the shot with Nigeria, Jamaica, and Miss Brazil.
Yeah.
And I was literally, I kid you not, I actually thought Miss Nigeria was Miss
Because
Jamaica.
of the reaction.
Because of her reaction.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa, dark skin girl winning and everything.
Yeah.
And blah, 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 only to find out, no, that was Miss Nigeria.
No. I don't know what to say to that because, I don't want people to curb their enthusiasm necessarily.
Well, tell you what.
Yeah.
I am entering the speaking competition next year.
Oh, you want me to hype?
And you're going to be there next to me.
Yeah.
When I win, do not come on the stage.
I was going
I'm
to lift
telling
you up.
now.
I was going to lift
Do
you up
not
at 12.
come on the stage. I will be. Thank you very much for this trophy. Get off.
She's serious.
I am taking
serious.
my moment.
You know.
I am taking my moment.
I tell you what I don't like. You know when you've got The Voice on TV or The X Factor and they sing and they do a good job, and then the mum, dad, and the little brother run on the stage. I really dislike that. I really, because it's just like, get off the stage. He's gonna walk off the stage. You do your hug. You could do your hug behind the wings, and you're all on the stage hugging and crying.
Give them their moment. It's your moment. You work hard.
And that is the biggest crown actually. There's not like another
you want your moment. You'll never have that moment again. Never. That's taken from her. I didn't like
she's going to go on now and do interviews and her face.
Likewise Miss Nigeria.
Yeah, well, how was your reaction? They'll probably do duo interviews, as a couple.
It's going to be 2 winners this year. Miss
Nigeria
and Miss Jamaica. I'm very sorry. And I know people out there, because my mom was like, oh my God, Miss Nigeria. And I was like, hang on a minute. Yeah, I can understand you're celebrating my win. Yeah. But give me my moment. I worked hard.
Yeah, definitely. I've got to say that.
Am I bad?
No.
Oh, thank you very much. Right, so we are back in the studio with Miss Kat Anderson this evening, and I'm grateful to Kat because she's a short notice guest.
Yeah. What time did I get the call? 5:30, 5:23.
I think probably minutes to 6.
Oh, really?
She was actually out doing her Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
I assumed it was for me, but I didn't see any gifts coming into the studio.
It's not Christmas Day.
Okay, we'll wait and see what happens. Right, so we had Kat sharing her story. She was a teacher, and you had a breakdown.
I did, yeah.
And so you decided to leave the profession.
Well, I wasn't able to teach. I wasn't able to teach after that. Like I had a long time off, so I had my breakdown in the summer, And then I think I came back to work in February, so that's a long time. And I still, when you have a breakdown, it can be a long recovery process. But I wasn't telling the school that I had a mental health breakdown, so they were like, what's wrong with you? So I kind of ran out of excuses and I had to go back. That's how I see it. And I remember a friend, she just said to me, the light has gone. Like, I was a shell. I was just walking around like a little zombie. Je m'appelle. The kids throwing airplanes, paper airplanes. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't control them. I had no energy. I had no life. And you could just look at me and I wasn't the same person.
There was another incident after you left teaching. So you left before the summer holidays and there was a hen party. Was that?
Yeah, so that's when I had my breakdown. Yeah.
So talk us through that breakdown.
Yeah, summer holidays came and I went straight to Spain with my auntie, and that was quite nice. It didn't really do much. Came back, and the next day me and my family went camping. Came back, and I think I did something else, and so it was still too much. It was too fast living, too much and not enough rest. And then I couldn't speak, and then I had to go to the doctors, a new one, and a speech therapist. He said, you've got to go on vocal rest. And I said, no, let me show you something. I got to talk to my friend on the phone. I got to, tell a story. I was like, like it was like my life. I was telling the doctor I can't. And he goes, no, you got to go on vocal rest. So you're not allowed to speak for a month. I said, I can't not speak for. I have to, when I leave here, I have to make a phone call. I have to go to this place. When I leave here, like I'm a big up person, important. He's like, no. And my dad was with me, and he said, you have to go on vocal rest. Anyway, I annoyed him. He said, bottom line, you have to go on vocal rest for 1 month, you might lose your voice. So I was just crying, and my dad said, okay, Catherine, you have to go on vocal rest. So my dad took me, and that was an appointment in London, and we drove up to Luton where my mum and dad was living. And my dad didn't speak to me for that whole journey. And usually me and my dad, we chat. And I just thought, this is it. Because when you stop speaking, people stop speaking to you because they think, I better not speak to her, then she's going to be tempted to speak to me. So my world just became, I was like in a cave. It just became darker and smaller, and I was just there crying, and I just wrote down, Dad, you can speak to me. He's like, mimicking, no, I can't speak, you can't speak, I can't speak. And that's what happened for like the next couple of days. People would start to hear that, friends started to hear that I couldn't speak back, so they wouldn't text me. So, and my life was about being connected to these people, so it was really bad. And then I started to just talk to myself. Okay, well, they're not talking to me, but I can talk to myself.
So is that orally? You just
no, in my head.
In your head, okay.
And then it came to a point where I felt I couldn't stop talking to myself. It just took over. There was just this internal voice like, I'm going to have breakfast today. What do you want, cereal, or do you want toast, or should I have jam, or should I have peanut butter? I don't know. And I was really annoying myself, but I think that was a bit psychotic, maybe. And then my mum said, got me a notepad, so I started writing, but I started writing frantically.
Okay.
Like just pages, and mum had to try and take the notepad away from me. I was like, no.
So what type of things were you
writing?
I was
writing like, if I never spoke again, what would my message be? Like my last message to everyone. Even try to nail it down to what would my last word be. So I just was totally in my head and not healthy, and I was contemplating all these things, and what is my favourite word, and all about words and messages to family and friends. And then my mum could see that I wasn't well, and she said, you have to speak. And I'm like, I'm not speaking, and then I kind of got myself together and said, right, I'm going to Dublin now for my friend's hen party.
Right.
And mum was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I thought, of course it's a good idea. I won't speak, I'll just be there. She's like, oh, Catherine, think about it. But, she just felt like she couldn't tell me no. I'm a young adult. I think I was 27 at the time.
Okay.
27 or 28, yeah. So I was 27. So she was just like, oh, I don't think it's a good idea. And I said, oh, that's fine. So I packed my bag and off I went to meet the girls in London. But as soon as I met them, it was just like everything was so loud, and there was so much energy, and so much excitement, and not so many girls, maybe 8 girls, but sometimes to travel in a group, it's like, should we go over there? Should we go over there? And it was like, I just couldn't take it. And then I was crying. I'm fine with flying. We flew from London to Dublin, so it's only a short trip. And I was crying on the plane, and the air hostess thought I was travel sickness, and everyone's stroking my head, and I was crying.
Are you vocalizing to anybody and explaining?
Not
what
really.
is
I was just thinking, I don't know if this is. I don't know. I just think, well, it was a Friday, and we were back on Monday, so I was like, yeah, I can get till Monday, and then I need to think about. I didn't think I was mentally ill or anything.
Right.
I just thought maybe I'm exhausted, and I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but I just thought, yeah, well, it's Friday to Monday. What's gonna happen? So the girls were going out on the Friday night, and I couldn't go with them because I was just crying. And they were like, "Oh, are you tired? Oh, why don't you sleep?" So they went out for dinner and drinks or whatever. And then on Saturday, I was like, "Oh my God, you're like the worst person to have on a hen party." And this is my best friend from school. And I thought this is terrible. So I said, let me just get together. So I managed to go out with them in the daytime. But then I was trying to read people's minds, like the shop assistant. I thought, what's her mind? Yeah, I remember we all sat down to get, you get makeups in the makeovers in the shop. Yeah, so this woman was doing my makeover, and she's like, "What colour do you want?" And I was just like trying to speak to her through my mind.
Telepathically.
Yeah, telepathically. Because I was like, no, you. I was like, you know.
Yeah, but would possibly because you had communicated like that at home because you couldn't speak.
Yeah.
So you had gone into your head then.
Yeah, I was totally in my head. So the poor girl, she didn't know what to do with my face, so she just gave me some green on my eyes or whatever. I was like, yes, you knew all along, and I was a bit creepy, and I was just trying to.
So were you saying that out loud? You knew all along, or were you just in your head?
I think I had to tell her, like once.
Okay.
And then, but I think my behaviour was just a bit creepy. And then the girls went out on Saturday night, and I was preparing to go out with them. I was kind of quiet, not really in the mix of things. But my mind was just, I started to, I think it must be hallucinations. Like I thought I was like sparkling. I thought I was like glitter. I thought I was sparkling. We were dressed up as fairies, and I was like, you know what? I've actually got some powers. I really believed I had some powers. So when we got out to the bar, I was trying to do, manifest my powers.
Right.
So my powers were good powers. I was helping people to dance. I was saying, right, left leg, right leg, hand up,
right,
shake, shimmy.
But in a hen party setting, I mean, sometimes that can be endearing because you're being silly.
Yeah.
So,
but no, it was totally like the girls were all a cluster, but I really felt I was by myself, and I felt I was controlling the DJ. Like I would think of a song, and then the song would come on, and then I remember this guy. He looked so geeky and dweeby, and I thought I'd help him to dance.
Right.
So I was there with my powers, telling him how to move, telepathically, and he was moving, and he had a crowd around him, and I felt that was my doing.
Right.
You see, so I was hallucinating and whatnot, and then eventually it just got too much for me. So it was a basement bar, and I just went upstairs, and I didn't tell my friends. They were looking for me and really worried, even though I was just upstairs, and it was empty. And then they finally found out, where have you been? And I just couldn't understand what they were talking about. Then I went home. Then I was like having panic attacks, in my room. I was like, I'm dying. Could hear noises from the other rooms, hotel rooms, people laughing. And I thought I had to save people. I thought people were in trouble, and I was scared. But my heart was just like beating so much. And I think I was just exhausted. And I was just like, I am dying. So my friend finally came home. I was like, I'm dying. We were sharing with 3 girls. She had a big bed, so I was in the big bed with my friend, and then this other girl was on the single bed, and I was like, I'm dying. She's like, you are not dying. She was like totally pissed off at me. Right. She's like, you are not dying, just be quiet. And I was like, I'm dying. I think I got up and screamed a bit. Right. And then anyway, I didn't die that night, but I totally thought I was. And then in the morning, I was like, oh oh my God, it's Sunday, we leave on Monday, you gotta keep it
Right.
together. And I'm just like,
At this time, are you having a conversation with yourself so you know you're acting, you recognize that you're acting out of the norm?
I don't think
I'm not
rec-
processing
no,
what is happening.
It all felt real to me. Even
Okay.
now, you know, sometimes I have disagreement with people because they say, well, do you really think you helped that boy to dance? And in my mind, I did. You know, it's my.
Right.
I remember it. I remember me helping him to dance, but you know that may not have happened.
Yeah.
But it feels true to me. It feels true to me. So yeah, in the morning I was just like, oh my God, I have to keep it together. And I wasn't talking to them thinking, oh, I feel weird, I feel like I've got powers. I wasn't saying anything. I was just like trying to keep my head low in a group of 8 girls. So I got ready, and you know, my friend like, you're all right, you know, and I just thought, oh, she's not happy with me, kind of thing. I said, just have to make it one more night and you can leave, one more night and you can leave. And so the girls were deciding where to go, and they're just like, and I'm thinking, oh God, someone decide. And I just stepped outside for a bit of air, and then I just started circling this pillar,
Right.
just circling this pillar. And it just felt really nice, you know, just the rhythm, you know, just going around the pillar, just waiting. Then someone said, cat. And then I just was like, ah!
Like full scream.
Screaming. I don't know what it was. It just snapped me out of my reverie or
Right.
whatever. And I screamed. And I'm like, whoa, what's wrong? And then I started running the hotel, banging on the windows, running everywhere, screaming. And then my friends were running after me. And soon enough, the ambulance guys were there and they were running after me. And I felt that they were going to hurt me, you know, like in my mind I was a bit paranoid, so I was like, oh my God, no, I have to run out. And my friend said later that I was in the road, like just running in between cars. I don't really remember this, but I do remember I felt really persecuted. I thought that they were just going to hurt me, you know, and then finally they I always say captured, that's the language I use, but finally they caught me, and you know, I just remember they're sitting there and my friend's like, I'm your friend. No, I kind of knew she was my friend, but I just thought there was something more to it, or I didn't really trust everyone that was around me and stuff. She's like, you know me, I'm your friend, who do you want me to call? And then I said I wanted them to call my brother.
Okay.
And then they thought she must be ill because I never asked anyone. They're like, do you mean your sister? I'm like, no, I mean my brother. And I did mean my brother because I thought, my brother doesn't say much, but I think he would have looked at me and said, get up. Stop screaming.
Right.
You know, he would have just like shut me up, you know, and I thought that's what I need. I need my brother. I don't need my sister who'll be like, Catty, what's wrong? Are you okay? We love you. I just need my brother to say, come on, let's go, you know.
Right.
So they were like, no, she would never ask for her brother. Whoa, you know this girl. So they finally managed to get me into the ambulance. I remember like I jumped out of the ambulance as well. Yes, and then the next time they got me, I had to be strapped up. And they got me into the hospital, and I was screaming in the hospital. I don't know how long, but I was screaming and like swearing and bad curse word and everything. And they needed to sedate me, like an injection in my wrist, and they couldn't because I was just like banging up and down, and there was like all these arms on me, and I couldn't work it out. I think I must have like passed out, but still be screaming because I'm not conscious of screaming. But I remember waking up in this room.
Are you seeing faces, or is it just?
Well, I didn't have my glasses on, so
Right.
when I don't have my glasses on, it's a blur anyway. So it was a blur, and I just felt, you know, people just like pressing down on these men's arms, just pressing down on me, and I was swearing and cursing them out and stuff. And then, out of nowhere, I just felt someone rub my hand, you know, just caress my hand a little bit. What's that? And it was this nurse, white woman in Ireland. Everyone was white there. One of the doctors was black. This is the white nurse, and she said, and she squeezed my hand, and I went, Mum? And she said, yes, darling.
Oh.
And then I relaxed. I was like, Mum, thank God you're here. And I do remember it. And I remember seeing her, and I remember knowing that she's not my mum. But she just assumed the role of my mum. She was a nurse. She was kind. She was soft. So for me, she was like a mum, right? She was mum. And I said, Mum, I've been so naughty. She goes, oh, look at these nice men trying to help you. I said, they're not nice, you know. So I kind of rolled up again. She goes, oh no, look at this nice young man. And I turned around. Honestly, it looked like he was glowing. I was like, I thought it was an angel.
Yeah.
I was like, is he an angel? She said, yes, darling. And I was like, oh my God. And I relaxed enough, so they just sedated me. Yeah.
So then your parents were contacted, I assume?
Yeah, my parents were contacted, and my dad and my sister, they came to get me by car. They drove to Ireland. So the very next day, I was in a hospital bed in a room by myself with this poor young Asian girl monitoring my bed, and when I jump up, she'd jump up as well. She was scared, man.
Well, at that point, you were lucid. You understand what was happening at that point.
No, really. I mean, the doctors came. When I woke up, the doctors came in and they were like, "Okay, we need to talk about yesterday. You know, do you think your drink was spiked?" And I just had water, and no one troubled my drink. I was like, no. And they were like, what's going on? What do you think? And we think you've got a mental health break. We think you had a psychotic episode. I was like, nah. And then I was like, I can't speak. I'm on vocal rest. So I wasn't the most cooperative patient. And then they said they'll just wait for my dad to come. But I will tell you something. When my dad came, like we were waiting. And then I jumped up and I went, my dad's here. And they're like, yeah, he's coming. He's on his way. I said, he is here. And they said, how do you know? I said, I can hear the music. So they're like writing that down, like cuckoo. But honestly, I did hear, because my dad likes classical music. And in my head, I just heard this, you know, the Can song. Yeah. And I'm like, that's it! Like, how do you know? I was like, I can hear it. I can hear the music. So yeah, I didn't really help myself. They're like, okay, this girl is gone. And then my dad walked in. I was like, I told you. So sometimes I'd like to maybe just explore more, because sometimes I think there's reality and then there's
alternate reality.
And like where does it
It's a very thin line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very thin line, because they always say that insanity and genius.
Yeah.
It's a thin line that separates the two.
When you see these crazy people walking down the road, sometimes they're talking sense, you know. You're like, oh, it's a message for me. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Like it's just really strange.
So you were officially diagnosed?
Yeah, they said I had bipolar. I didn't know what it was, so I thought I ain't got no bipolar. I didn't know what it was. I was like, no, I don't, thank you. No, I haven't. Right, I'm going now. So yeah, they let my dad take
you away.
Yeah.
So without medication or anything?
Did they give me medication? I don't think they gave me. I don't know if they gave me medication. I can't remember. But they gave us a letter to take to my GP. Yeah. So when I finally got home to my mum and dad's house, so we had one more night in Dublin, then we drove home, and I got home to my mum and dad's house, and they were like, they didn't know what to do. My parents, bless them. They said, oh, we've got to book an appointment with the doctor. So Dad said, let's look at the letter. And we're like, I said, well, you're allowed, you know, this is, well, they've written about you, let's look at it. So the letter was said that I had a psychotic episode, and I've got a psychotic illness, and I've got bipolar. And my dad was like, oh, we can't show this letter to anyone, you know. And then we were just sort of debating as a family, me, Mum and Dad, what do we do? So we decided to go to the doctors. But by that time, I was feeling all right. So I went as if I was going to work, so I dressed quite smartly. And so the doctor read the letter, and he looked at me, and he looked back at the letter, and it didn't marry up. Like my outward appearance didn't marry up to this tales of running around, screaming, jumping out of ambulances. I just sat there sweetly, and he said, is this what happened? And I thought, oh, doctor, well, you know. And he was like, okay, I think you've had stress, not a mental illness. You must be under stress. So we went with that line, and he signed me off for stress. So that's what we did. It was a black doctor as well, and I think he just felt that he, you know, you hear statistics about black people.
Right, and he didn't want you to become just another statistic.
Because he thought, oh, she's a sweet girl. You can't put her through the system.
Was that time? Because I know now it's quite pivotal in terms of addressing mental health illness in the workplace as well.
Yeah.
But I suppose in that time, a few years ago, the stigma that would be attached to you would probably have detrimental effect going forward.
Yeah. I think everybody was worried about that, and no one wanted me to be institutionalized. You know, you just hear a story of someone going in with a little bit of a problem and coming out with a serious, grave problem, like permanent problem.
Right.
And you know, my parents feared that. They didn't want that to happen to me. They didn't want me to be drugged up or
statistic.
yeah, definitely.
So you went off and thought it was stress and thought you were basically okay.
Yeah.
So were you okay?
So not really. I think I was just my parents, they felt the brunt of it, but they didn't know what to do because I was there at home preaching to them about I said I was trying. I felt like like the mysteries of the world. You just think, what's this life all about? I was like, I know what the answers is. So could it be this? All my theories, and they would get it, and they were just trying to watch TV, saying, "All right, Catherine," and I'll read magazines, and I say, "This person is not a good person, and this person is a good person, and we need to support, and this," ripping up paper and stuff. And they're like, "Okay, go to bed now," So they didn't really I was totally psychotic,
right,
and ranting at them, and they were like, "All right then, darling, you going to bed now?" And I said, "Yeah." And I'll go to bed, but I wouldn't sleep. I wasn't sleeping and waking up in the morning. So I think what happened was I managed to go to my friend's wedding, which was really nice, but I was totally fragile there. But I managed to go to my friend's wedding. And then I was at home with my dad. My dad was at home, so I wasn't sleeping. And their dad was like, "Kevin, come downstairs, you can't sleep all day." And I was like, "Oh, he doesn't have a clue. I'm not even sleeping at night. What's wrong with you?" So I wasn't sleeping, and then my grandma was living with us at the time, and she loved to watch Jeremy Kyle. And my dad, our front room is like a living room, dining room, so it's this big room, it's extended. So my dad had made her put headphones on, so she's sitting right close to the TV watching Jeremy Kyle, and I felt like I could see beneath these people's skins, I really felt I could see people's souls, if they were good or bad. And there were some people that were presented as bad on Jeremy Kyle, but I thought I could see like a good soul in them. And my grandma's there all sneering and laughing. I thought I have to get her away from the TV. But then my dad was he's just chatting away. He was just chatting, "Catherine, what do you think about this? Catherine, what do you think about that?" So I was just like, oh my God, I got my dad here, so needy in a sense, talking to me, and I've got to save my grandma from the television, and I had a long distance to travel, and in my head I was just like, I'll just stay with dad and I'll go to grandma, stay with dad, go to grandma. So I don't know what I was doing. I don't know if I was edging closer to grandma. I don't actually think I got up. I just thought I was elastic, that I could reach grandma and stay with dad. So no, I'll be there at two places at once, talk to them both, tell grandma very gently not to watch Jeremy Kyle, and answer all of dad's questions. So then I think they were like, "What are you doing?" And then I was like, just screamed, totally flipped again. My grandma, bless her heart, she's not with us anymore, but I don't know, she liked to exaggerate a little bit. She told me I was like ransacking the place, like knocking things down, throwing things out the window. But I don't have a recollection of that. And I'm like, "Grandma, are you telling me the truth?" I don't know. My mum and dad don't talk about it. So yeah. So
not even now.
No, we don't. I mean, I don't know. It was a long time ago, and I've moved on so much from then. So I don't know, but yeah, they didn't talk about it, and so I just went totally lost it. And then my mum was working in London, and it just felt like she was just there. Oh my gosh, But obviously an hour must have passed, over an hour. So mum was home, and then she just looked at me, because my dad, bless him, he didn't know what to do. And she said, "We're taking her to the hospital, the mental health hospital." Well, I was living in London at the time, but I was only staying with my mum and dad in Luton, and so all my doctors were in London. So they drove me back to London to meet my doctors, and I just felt like I felt really betrayed. I felt like, how can they do this to me? But in the drive there, I was thinking, right, I'm in control, because I know the mysteries of the world. I just need to work it out. So I'm going to talk to the doctor, and he's going to listen to me. And then I'll never speak to my mum and dad again, and then I'll go off my own way. So I had this instrument.
So you have a plan when you
I couldn't articulate it. So the journey, I was thinking, what do I have to say? What do I have to say? But anyway, when we were driving down there, like I was just so disorientated. Like the scenery, it felt like a set. Like the trees didn't look real, nothing looked real, And I was really obsessed with the number 3. So, because it's me, my brother and my sister, it's mum, dad and me, and Jesus, God and Holy Spirit. So 3 was really important to me. So when we got to the hospital, there was me, dad, mum and the doctor.
Okay, so I'm just going to hold you right there for you, mum and the doctor.
Yeah.
we know people are watching on Facebook Live, but we also have viewers on LUR Live. We are going to a break in about 1 minute. So we're looking at Kat's episode. And for a short notice guest, she's actually filled us with amazing stories and actually just detailing her experience with being diagnosed as bipolar and her journey to where she is right now. Now, I'm even looking at the time and realize that we could do another 2 hours. Easily talking to Kat, because we have a final half an hour coming up, and I really need to get in some of the stuff because Kat is different now. Right, so I'm just looking at some of the comments in the break. So Hanifa is saying a psychotic episode is not a psychotic illness.
Ooh.
Oh, so it might be just a one-off.
Yeah.
So no, Hanifa is a mental health specialist. So Hanifa, does it mean that you can have these one-off episode and then go back to where you were before? Or does it mean that there's a lingering fragility if you have suffered one psychotic episode? I mean, do you feel that there's a...
Well, I've had about
going
three.
forward?
I've had
Right.
about 3.
Mhm.
And when I was at the doctor's, they said you're susceptible to have another one because
Okay.
it's happened once. And I think that could be true in my case. But what might be interesting, I might need to talk to Hanifa, is like my future care.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, because I don't know. I don't feel bipolar. I don't behave bipolar. I don't.
But that's probably some of the things that people would want to know. If you're diagnosed as bipolar,
Yeah.
what type of emotions, how do you feel on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Is it a constant thing, or does it go
For me,
and
it's
come?
not. It's not. It doesn't feature, you know, since 2016. So I suppose it's not very long ago. But it doesn't really feature, and I guess I know how to look after myself. I'm more open about things. I'm happier.
Mhm.
You know, I don't overdo things. So it's interesting. But then they always say, "You're bipolar for life," and I struggle with that.
Okay.
But maybe I have to chat with Hanifa.
And see what happened. So you told us that you get to the doctor's office, and what's the diagnosis this time?
Oh yeah, so I had this plan to tell him what I know, and I didn't really know what I knew, but I had this plan.
Right.
And then, but I was interested in free, and so Mum was there, the doctor, and me, and Dad. So I was like, oh no, Dad, you have to go out. But he was like, you know, bless him. He's like, what do I do? Like, get out! You know, so I was screaming at him and trying to shove him out the room. Bless him, I feel so terrible. But at the time I didn't know, but it had to be 3 people. And Mum was like, oh, I don't know, okay, maybe you should go. And he didn't know what to do. I'm like, get out! I have to talk to the doctor now. You know, Dad, you have to get out now. And so they're all writing notes about my aggression and whatnot. So anyway, Dad finally left. And there was, so the doctor's chair, doctor behind his desk. Then there were 2 chairs together, and then there was another chair on the other side of the room. Now Mum's always sitting next to me and cuddling, you know, holding me down. You know, didn't want me to jump up or whatever. So she's trying to protect me, you know. But I felt I can't be next to Mum. I have to be on the other side of the room because I have to tell them what I know, you know. And so Mum's just there pinching me. And
welcome back to our listeners at LUR Live. We are interviewing Miss Kat Anderson. It's a Behind My Smile talk show with your host, Vinette Hoffman Jackson. So Kat has just made it to the doctor's office after suffering a second psychotic episode, and she's just talking us through what actually transpired in the doctor's office.
Yeah, so there's 4 of us, and there needed to be 3. So I had to get rid of my dad. Get out! I told him, get out, push him, shove him, get out. And he didn't know what to do. He was just standing there, like, get out, you know. And the doctor didn't know what to do, and my mum didn't know what to do. So she said, Dad, go. And then my mum was sitting so close to me, like pinning me down, really, you know, just, you know, she wanted the doctor to see I'm unwell, but not that unwell.
Okay.
You know, so pinning me down. And I needed to be on the other side of the room because I had to present my case. So Mum is there, she's pinching my arm, she's like, sit down, be good. And I was swearing under my breath. She said, Catherine does not swear. And I was like, well, clearly I do, you know. And then that was really weird for me. I was like, Mum, okay, it's not about swearing right now. I've got to tell the doctor, I've got to speak to the doctor. As I'm trying to get to the other side. And then, but the doctor had seen enough by then. So I didn't even get to tell him what I had to tell him.
So
and then admitted me to the mental health hospital. So I had to go straight into the mental health hospital, and I was there for a week.
A week.
Yeah.
Okay. What were you medicated?
Yeah, you are heavily medicated at the mental health hospital. I tried to not take my medicine. I tried to, you know, like, oh yeah, I'll take this medicine, I'll just go over there and take it. But you have to go to the window, and you have to take your medicine at the window. And there was just, I tried to not take it, but I was taking medicine 3 times a day.
So will you feel yourself getting better and coming
I
back
felt
into
like I was
reality, or...
numb.
Right.
I did get better. I think I was very high, I was manic, and I did get better, but I felt like I wasn't alive. I felt really numb, you know, and that was a problem for me, and I didn't want it, you know. I'm used to doing things. I'm locked up with these other women who are ill, and I guess I was ill as well, and I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all.
So after the week and you were released, did you go back to live with mom?
Yeah,
or...
I did.
Right.
Yeah, everyone, my family, like, oh, they'll look after you. So I went back, and I think I was had to take medication, and I just think slowly I started to get better, but it did take a long time.
Right.
It did take a long time.
Okay. So obviously you've been through that journey.
Yeah.
Are you still on medication?
I am, yeah, but I think I have to do some research.
Sorry, Trina, can you turn on the music a little bit in the background?
Yeah, I think I have to do some research, because I don't know. The doctors, they send you a letter saying you have to be on medication for life. And I don't know if that's true in my case. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, it's just a small dose, I don't really mind. And other times I think, well, if I'm sensible about diet, exercise, and all the things that we should be doing, which I'm not always sensible about, then maybe I don't need to take medication for life. I don't know, because I always feel like, you know, medicine, it helps you in one respect, but it might not be helping you in another respect. So,
in terms of stigma, because now you talk quite openly about your breakdown.
Yeah.
Has it impacted any area of your life? Have you been looked at in a different way because of that?
I mean, I don't know. I think if do you know what? When people ask me about stigma, I don't know what to say, because the person who stigmatized me the most was myself.
Right.
I didn't understand the diagnosis back in the day. I was like, no way, I don't have bipolar. Not me, mate. You got bipolar. Not me, not me. I don't know what bipolar is. I don't like your tone with me. You know, so I stigmatized it. I didn't educate myself. I didn't go to learn about it. I stigmatized myself. And then in my family, we have mental illness running through the family, but it's like, we don't have mental illness running through this family.
Do you think it's a cultural thing?
Yeah, it's cultural, and it was my mum and dad's generation. So it's like, not us. No. This must be stress, or this must be, did you have breakfast in the morning, or did you sleep at night? You know, so we were thinking of, also between myself, the biggest stigmatizer, and my parents, you know, there's nothing that anyone else could have looked down on me that I didn't look down on myself like that first, you know. And then another point, I think people have been really kind, you know. I'm really well regarded and really well liked, so people just loved on me. Well, I saw the opposite.
I think one of the things, I think I knew you about 2-3 years before you actually opened up and explained and told me the story. Yeah. Because I think it was on that TEDx talk down that you told me about it.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
And I'm like, I would never have guessed, because you're always the most, the bubbliest person in the room, the chirpiest person, you're always making people laugh in that larger than life persona. Yeah. So it just didn't match up. Yeah. So I can understand and relate when you say, well, I'm probably putting myself down, because I don't think the world looking from outside looking at you would ever associate with you.
I mean,
which is a danger in itself, isn't it?
Well, you were very good. Let me tell you how good Miss Vanette Hoffman Jackson.
I did not say her to say.
Let me tell you how good she is, and I will get my gold coin when I tell you this story. No, so I came off medication in 2016, just like that, cold turkey, because I'm fed up with it. Then I went to Jamaica with my mum and dad and got mentally ill there, just spending time with the two of them bickering, you know. It was I'm in jest, but you know, it was quite stressful for me to be on a family holiday with them. And then I came home, and my behaviour started to get manic. I don't know if you remember, it was in 2016, it was towards the end of the year, and I remember, I think I just was like, I couldn't cope. I was manic. I was refusing to take medication, and I was suffering. I was feeling physically hurt. I couldn't move. Some days I couldn't get out of my bed. I wasn't good at calling people back, and I was behaving shady, really, really weird behaviour. And then I don't know if I told you that what was going on with me, but I remember you called me and you left me like 5 voicemails, and you were like, Kat, I'm here for you. Anytime you need me, call me back. So I remember like listening to it like 8 hours later. I'm like, okay, that's nice. Kat, anytime, Kat. Another one, another message, Kat, 11 o'clock at night, 12 a.m, anytime. Another voicemail from Burnett, 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, anytime you need me, I'm here for you. I'm like, whoa, this girl is here for me. 1 a.m, 2 a.m. I mean, look, because the first is someone says to you, oh, call me anytime. You're like, oh yeah, okay, fine, I can't do that. But you left about 5 voicemails going, anytime, Kat, anytime, call me. Next voicemail, 1 a.m, 2 a.m. You call me.
I think that is it, because I recognize more than anything else, quite often people just slip off for a while. Yeah. And especially in this country where it's just like this, fast pace. You'll go a month and just realize, actually, I haven't spoken to that person, or I haven't been in touch with that person. Yeah. And so sometimes I think it's important to know when you say, I'll be there for you. Yeah. It's not just a precursor, I'll be there for you and move on, but I will be there for you.
Yeah, no, I was so touched by that. And you helped me out, because I was meant to do the schedule for Toastmasters, and I wouldn't tell anyone. She's like, do you need help? Like, just ask
someone else for help.
To help you, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're gonna leave out a huge chunk, because I'm looking at the clock and thinking so much things that I could talk about. Yeah. For 5 minutes. Yeah. Before we come back on the up relationships.
My goodness.
Okay, you need to. She's gonna take at this point. So, all right, I'll just recap. So you went to an all-girls school, and you said one of the things you were very awkward around boys initially, but you're very bubbly, and you said you've actually created this persona because you're a very social person, which you are very social. All of that was said. We have it on tape. So you're a very sociable person. You created this. Well, your alter ego has morphed into who Kat is, and that's the one that you portray in terms of very funny, very amusing, connecting with people, and giving all that positive vibe, which I can attest to. Yeah. So give us about.
Yeah, I think I was definitely a late starter, but I think I was intentionally a late starter because I couldn't see why anyone would want to be in a relationship necessarily when I was like 18, 19. It's like, I'm having a lot of fun with my friends. Don't really need a boyfriend. And then when I got into my mid-20s, a lot of my girlfriends were, starting to get engaged and married and live together. And I felt lonely because you lose your girlfriend, don't you? When they get, and then when they start having babies, you sort of lose them a little bit. So I thought, maybe I need to get a boyfriend. And so I did try, and I went on dates. Getting a date is fine, but getting a relationship has not been fine for me. Yeah. Then I had my breakdown 27, and then I think until about 32, I was really, I fell into a bit of a depression, so I wasn't really well. So at 32, I was like, I feel better, I've got a good job now, and I can work, and I feel happy, so let me find a man. And I'm 39, I've not been able to find a man. And I think the problem is, one of my problems is like it's like a show with me. You go on a date, it's like, wait.
Well, that's what I asked initially. Is it you?
Well, I mean, it is me, but I feel like I've not really been clear in the like 32, 33 when I like someone. I just like to make them laugh and stuff. So I think I get friend zoned, or either I friend zone people. So I don't know how to kind of be like, oh, I like you, right? That kind of thing. And then I have had some boyfriends, and then I felt like I was meeting loads of people, going on loads of dates, and then I felt that maybe the men are not really looking for what I'm looking for, so I wanted to settle down. In the last couple of relationships, I think I don't know if they're looking for what I'm looking for. And then just recently, I was trying to explain to my friends, I said, you know, there's at the time I said there's no one in the picture, but I don't want people to feel sorry for me, because when you think, oh, you're still single, oh my God, I can't find a man, oh my God, what's wrong with men, what's wrong with you, you know, oh. I said, you know what, there is love in my life.
Well, that's
I'm
the important thing, isn't
abounding.
it?
My love in my life is overflowing. When I look at the way some people look at me, it's like love. They're just chucking love in my direction. They're just sending me so much love. So I do have a lot of love in my life. So my friend has given me a book to read. I haven't read it yet, by Dolly Alderton. She's a journalist. It's called Everything You Need to I Learned About Love, or Everything You Need to Know About Love. I can't remember what it's called, but her name is Dolly Alderton. And she talks about turning 30, not meeting the love of her life, but coming to the realization that the love of her life is her best friend. And I think I've got love in my life through my best friends, you know. That's one point. So that's something that I'm looking at. But then there is a mister who has been in and out of my life over the past 3 years, and it's top secret.
I'm not gonna pry.
It's top secret.
I'm not gonna pry. I might pry off air, but I'm not gonna pry.
Off air, I'm offloading. But part of me, I feel like we have to change this narrative of young girls growing up. Oh, have you got a boyfriend? I don't know if it happens in the same way to boys, but you don't. I don't know. I don't believe there is one man who can love me in the way that my collective girlfriends can love me.
Well, that's a different
type of love. Is it? I mean, maybe it's a different type of love.
It's a different type of love, but I think any love is once it's genuine and it's pure and it's true, regardless of who it's coming from, it's still a positive thing for you.
Definitely.
So it's not necessarily looking for that one love, but looking for love.
Yeah, and what I don't want people to think, oh, she's so lonely, and you know, everyone talks about the lonely cat lady. So I'm not gonna be no lonely cat lady. She doesn't have any cats, by the way. I have no cat. I'm really weird when it comes to cat. I had a cat near me, and so I said, pick up the cat. I was like, oh my God, not pick up my cat.
I don't like fur animals.
So that's the situation.
It. So obviously there's a lot we could ask about that, but we're going to leave that on the burner right now. Because you mentioned a lot about writing, and one of the things I know about you is that you write a lot of poems. Do you enjoy writing poems, and how did you start writing poems?
So it's actually my dad, actually. We got to give him a salute, because I used to, in my family home, when we had dinners around the table, I got to the stage where I was talking a lot, like, oh, this story, especially when I was a teacher, this kid did that, I used to mimic them, I used to do impressions, I used to say say all sorts of things. And my dad said to me, you need to write it down.
And literally that's how it started.
I said, you need to listen. I'm not writing nothing down. You need to listen to my story. And so I was offended initially. I said, I'm not writing anything down. You need to listen to this story. But he kept saying, you're a writer. And I'd never written anything, maybe at school. He said, you're a writer, you need to reach that. Right. So my family's really creative. We've got photographers and dancers and rappers and videographers and stuff like that. But no one was a writer. And I was like, maybe I could write. So after my dad maybe spending 6 months saying, you're a writer, you're a writer, you're a writer, I decided to write. And in my first half term in February, I wrote like 6 poems, and they were quite good poems.
And your poem is on a blog. Can you share the blog website?
Please join me at www.catallthat.com. That's my poetry blog. Right. Cat with a K, Cat All That.
So catallthat.com.
Confession, I haven't posted on it for 2 months.
Well, she'll start tonight.
Not tonight. I'm going holiday time.
Right.
I'm going to do a little writing,
Right, so Kat, even though it has been a little bit rushed,
oh my gosh,
I felt I've gotten so much from you, and I so appreciate you coming out at last minute.
Thank you.
So just a few quick things. Looking back on your life, any regrets?
I don't know. I think regret is too strong a word. I think there's definitely things I could have done better. I think I'm actually a little fearful, and I'm not a risk taker. So I think there have been opportunities that I've let slip away, in terms of maybe moving abroad when I wanted to, or taking a job, or maybe being vulnerable enough to tell a guy that you like them. So there's definitely been loads of those. But sometimes I believe you're where you're at when you need for a reason, and I don't know if I would have changed anything. All my learnings and lessons have got me to this point, and I think the one thing I like about myself is I think I'm quite reflective, and you know, when I, like, you know what Maya Angelou says, you know, you do the best that you can at the time, and when you know better, you do better. And I think that's it. We don't know what to do sometimes, but when we're so misled and misinformed and uneducated about so many things, but when you know better, you do the best. And I've always tried to do my best.
Greatest achievement to date?
Ooh, I don't know. My greatest achievement, I would say my friendships are my greatest achievement. Maybe doing well in Toastmasters has been a good achievement.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years, yes. I see myself, well, I would have published a poetry collection, at least one, for goodness sakes. And maybe I would have travelled a bit more, maybe working on a career that more aligned with my passions.
Okay. And finally, if
Yes.
you had to give any word of advice to anybody who might be going through something that you have gone through, or in the middle of it, or just coming out of it, what word of advice would you give them?
Well, I always like seeing, and I see it on Facebook all the time, when people are suffering from mental illness and depression, and you know, they think the end, they're wishing for an end to their suffering. And I always see people say, you know, pain is temporary, and I'm a true believer in that, because, you know, now I can laugh and joke, but there were times, I mean, I never felt suicidal per se, but I did want to be hurt. I did want to, like, I saw a girl get run over by a bus, and my feeling was, I wish that was me. I wish I got run over by the bus. I wish I got into hospital, so that I don't have to go to work, so I don't have to explain to people.
But you have gone past.
Yeah, now, you know, it's a different,
Right.
it's like a totally different person. I'm like, they're still the same person, but I don't see things in the same way. I know how to address things. And you know what? Having mental problems and suffering and stuff like that, people come to me and say, look, I haven't been sleeping. I don't know the answer, but I can sympathise and empathise because I've been there. And my mum would always say, you don't know, maybe there's a reason why this happened. And, you know, maybe there is a reason.
That is true.
So you can help someone. But pain is temporary, though. That is the main key. You know, you're not, if just day by day, you know, and let people in, share with people, get some help, get some fresh air, go for a walk, do something that you enjoy. Remember what you enjoy and do that. And slowly you'll feel better. Yeah.
Well, Kat, it has been an amazing time speaking with you. I am grateful that you came into the studio to share the story or stories behind your smile. I think one final thing I'm going to ask you to do before you leave, of course, is to sign the banner with a nice little saying or a nice little word, whatever thing you choose to do. Right, so that is another episode of the Behind My Smile talk show with your host Vinette Hoffman Jackson this evening on LURlive.com and Facebook Live. What an amazing story from the lovely, my little sister, Kat Anderson. So grateful that she took the time to come into studio this evening to speak with us and share her very, very powerful story. Like I said at the start of the broadcast, this is my final show for this year. It's my final Behind My Smile talk show. I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed. I think this journey started in June with the publication of my book, Behind My Smile. And then we went to a blog where people wrote in and actually shared their story on the blog post. That's behindmysmile.co.uk. And then, of course, I went on to do the radio talk show. So quite a lot has come out of it. Went on to do the radio talk show on LURlive.com. Got to do a episode on the BBC Three Counties with the same Behind My Smile. Now, one of the things that I've told people, it's so important sometimes to share your story, not only for yourself, but quite often you find that other people are inspired or empowered or motivated by your story, or just give them a glimmer of hope that something will come positive at the end. When I started my journey, I was just smiling, but there was nothing behind my smile. And I thought it was important to actually share my story with others. And I found it therapeutic. and I found it helpful. I feel like I'm in a better place right now having shared my story, and quite a few people have come up to say, well, I never knew you were going through that at the time, but thank you so much for sharing your story. I have quite a lot of people coming into me sending messages asking if they can come in and share their story, and I don't take it for granted when people ask if they could share their story with me. I feel blessed and I feel honored and privileged, because hearing someone's story, their personal stories, things that they might not have shared on any other platform or with anyone, and to ask me or to invite me into their life and into their sphere and into their story, I feel very honored. I don't take it for granted. I know some people have had some very traumatic stories, and I'm glad I can provide a platform for people to share their story. 2020 is looking like it's going to start off on a bang. I'm already booked up to February.
Wow.
And I have a few repeat interviews that I've missed this year for technical difficulties or any other such occurrences that were beyond my control. So I'm really looking forward to the journey, and all I can say is keep smiling, and whatever you're going through, please remember that somebody else somewhere is going through it as well, and if you can share your story to empower someone else, then do go ahead and share your story. So that is my final word for this year, 2019, with my final guest in studio, Miss Kat Anderson. Do have a wonderful evening, and thank you for joining us on Facebook Live and LUR Live. Have a wonderful evening, Merry Christmas, and a prosperous New Year when it comes. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Trey. And you can finish.
Evening.
Good evening.
All right.
I'm good, thank you.
Smile.